We're here outside Twitter's headquarters in New York City, where behind me Laura Loomer is staging an official protest. And I'm happy to say this is much more my style of protest. Laura's alerted the police, and no one's going to be getting their fingers chopped off today, hopefully. Let's turn the camera around and see what Laura's saying.
That you want to kill the president of the United States. You would think that is something that would get you banned and maybe a visit from the Secret Service as well. But according to Twitter, that's not a violation of their terms of service. Someone also said, can somebody fucking kill Trump? That's also another tweet that Twitter says isn't a violation of their terms of service. And I guess saying a congresswoman is anti-Jewish is. So Twitter's taken the position that it's more of a crime to say that somebody is anti-Jewish on their platform than it is to commit a felony and call for the assassination of the President of the United States. So I don't really understand what's going on inside Twitter, which these terms of service, right, these rules that Twitter has created, or these guidelines, how they can justify banning somebody for saying that a Muslim congresswoman who has a record of being tied to terrorist organizations and spewing Jew hatred is anti-Jewish, but then that's classified as hate speech, but then saying that you want to kill President Trump is not a violation of your terms of service. I know that Twitter released a statement to their employees today, and they said that you have to show a badge in order to come inside. And I know that if I were to hop over this barrier and try to get inside your office today, you would probably not let me inside. And I know you're probably not going to send anybody out here. I know that Jack Dorsey isn't going to, come outside and talk to us. He's just going to talk to Rolling Stone magazine and tell them how much he respects me and how much he loves activism and how much he thinks Laura Loomer is a punk rocker because she has the balls to come out here and protest. But I want someone to actually come outside and tell me why it's not a violation of Twitter terms of service to call for the assassination of President Trump. I would like somebody to give me an answer. I would like Jack Dorsey to answer a question for once instead of lying to people like Joe Rogan and saying that social media is a human right. Can we get an answer, please? Can you send one of your many employees outside to address us and tell us why it is not a violation of your terms of service to say things like, please shoot Donald Trump, I will kill Donald Trump, can someone shoot Donald Trump in the face? I want to kill Trump, but I don't want to go to jail. Why is that not a violation of your terms of service? I really honestly fail to understand why saying men aren't women is a bannable offense, why saying Ilhan Omar is anti-Jewish is a bannable offense, but calling for the assassination of President Trump, which is a felony, is not a violation of the Twitter terms of service. I'm very, very confused. And we have some members of the press here today as well, and they've been given copies. So what do you guys think about these tweets? Can you believe that these tweets, which are classified as felonies, are still up on Twitter? What do you guys think about that as members of the press?
We're not being interviewed.
Yeah.
Well, no, now you are. I'm asking you questions. I answered your questions, but, just if you take yourself out of a journalist role, right? Let's just say you guys aren't journalists.
We're working.
Yeah, well, I'm at work too.
Yeah, so, professional courtesy.
Right, but we're having a conversation. I don't think that it's against your journalistic standards to say, do you guys think that it is wrong to say, please shoot Donald Trump, can someone please assassinate the president? Do you think that's wrong?
Again, I'm at work. I'm not going to offer my opinion.
We're recording. What are you guys going to say when you're Twitter?
What
do you think about people who say that, Twitter is censoring you, but at the end of the day, they're a private company and are allowed to decide who basically participates in their platform?
Well, Twitter receives protections, right? They receive protections under the law, and they're protected from many lawsuits because they have said that they would uphold themselves as a platform instead of a publisher. But currently, Twitter is abusing those privileges, and Senator Ted Cruz has talked about this as well during the social media bias hearings, in which these companies, they need to be reclassified or held accountable because they're claiming that they're not censoring people and that they're not, editorial editorializing content and picking and choosing who can be on their platform according to what their political ideology is, but they are, right? And they
Section 230.
exactly Section 230.
If you offer money to assault somebody on Twitter, do you think that should be a bannable offense?
If you offer money to assault someone,
Money for somebody to
yes,
assault somebody
yes, that's inciting
Roger
violence.
Roger Stone did that 2 times in 2012. He offered $1,000.
And he's been banned.
Yeah, he did, but he didn't get banned for that. He got banned a couple of years later. He offered $1,000 for someone to assault Chris Matthews. He said, "I'll give $1,000 bounty." He used the word bounty for someone to punch out Chris Matthews. You think that he shouldn't have been banned for that, or do you think he should be banned for that? Because if you're gonna hold to this, you have to admit
That's
that
my
he should have
point.
been
Yeah.
banned.
So look, I love Roger Stone. I think he's great. He's a friend of mine.
I got
But
Bob
yes,
Mueller
but-
tattooed on my back
but-
just to bust his balls. I love Roger too, but he's wrong on it.
Let's
You're
see
right,
that
but
tattoo.
this is my
I'm not gonna
point.
take my foot
This is my. Let me.
You got Bob Mueller
Let me
tattooed on your back?
answer. Let me answer the question.
Credible threat?
No,
So
let
let me
her
answer the
answer, let her
question. So yes, I agree with you. Twitter has terms of service that says you're not allowed to incite violence. If that's the case, then that's the tweet that Roger should have been banned for.
2 tweets.
Not the tweet in which I think he called Don Lemon an idiot. I think that's the tweet that got him banned.
No, I agree with
So
you
that is-
completely.
that's my
but they
point.
should have banned him a long time ago.
Right,
for that.
but they didn't, and they chose to ban him over something else. So that's just more evidence that Twitter is not really
As long
upholding
as
their
you agree
terms
that
of
Roger
service.
should be banned.
I don't
We're
think
on the
that
same page
Roger.
then.
I don't think that
I
Roger
don't think he should have
Stone
been.
should be banned. I'm not
For,
really
for
in favor.
offering a bounty to assault somebody?
I don't. Here's why.
Are you
Here's why.
kidding
If
me?
you're going to
Here's why.
incite
You can't be
violence,
serious right
if
now.
you're going to incite violence against people, then yeah, that's a bannable offense, in my opinion.
Okay.
But we're not. That's not
But
the reason why Roger
no, but you
Stone
don't
was
want to
banned.
apply it to Roger because he's your friend.
No, I just said to you that if Twitter would have banned him based off
that.
of
You-
that tweet,
all right, so we do
I would
agree.
understand.
We do agree then.
I
Okay,
would
that's
understand.
cool.
That's their terms of service. I'm
I got
not
you.
in favor. If I called for Ilhan Omar to be assaulted, I would understand if Twitter banned me. I would say,
I don't
okay,
think
like
Twitter
that.
should have banned
You're
you.
not
I'm with you
allowed.
on that.
You're not
Yeah.
allowed
Let's
to.
see the
And I
Mueller
just said to you,
tab.
I'm not.
Come on, man.
I don't
can go
have
on
the double
Infowars.
standard. I don't have the double standard. However, if that really is a violation of their terms of service to call
Good.
for
All
somebody,
those people should be
Look,
banned. too.
here's the
then
key.
then Roger
Here's the key.
should have been banned for that tweet, right? But he wasn't
Decency
banned
and
for that tweet.
Communications Act, Section 230 says that they are not an editor. They're protected as a network.
Right.
But they are editing content, so they should not enjoy that
Well,
protection.
somebody should sue
where-
them then, right?
Well,
I have.
somebody
I actually
should.
did, and I was about to talk about this. Is what happened in 2018 is the Southern District in New York had a notable lawsuit, Knight First Amendment Institute versus Trump, etc. You know, numerous named parties in their official capacity. And what happened is that the court ruled that the president must unblock all of his critics on Twitter.
Yep.
And they also, in the subtext of the ruling, ruled that the elected officials and agencies of the United States government, their elected officials' platforms, all the way down to the lowest county official and the police department, FBI, etc., are public First Amendment protected platforms within that space, which you have the right to access. And so when that ruling came out, it set a new tone, as this is a landmark precedent, and I'm currently suing Twitter in federal court in the District of Arizona.
Good for you.
And
Why did you pick Arizona?
why did I pick Arizona? Because I live in Arizona.
I'm
and
from
I love
Arizona.
it. I want to talk a little bit, not a lot, about my
Too late.
background. And that's, I ran for the U.S. Senate. My name is Craig Britton, and I ran for the U.S. Senate in 2018. My campaign staff, I was initially banned in 2017, and I was a verified Twitter user. I had 150,000 followers, doing pretty well on the Twitter. And then I got banned, but my team actually made an account for me later in 2018 after Twitter had created what they call the World Leaders Policy. And the World Leaders Policy states that Twitter will not block any candidate, elected official, or agency from using their platform. And they created it in response to the criticisms of President Trump.
The media's
Because
going to write
a
about
lot
this.
of
We
people
don't have
want
600
President
people,
Trump
but
to be
like,
banned
we're
from
gonna
Twitter.
have, like, 1 million articles
So
written down. And now this is like a
they said basically we will never block an elected official or candidate from accessing social media, from accessing their platform. Well, they turned around 3 months later in March 2018 and they banned my whole team. They banned 50 people that had never done anything
At least New York
wrong.
media.
Basically, all they did was retweet my campaign tweets and
Yeah,
share
it's
my
fine. We
information
don't need a
about
ton
my
of- I mean,
campaign.
it's great.
So they've
We have to
essentially
agree.
interfered in that election to the point where my voters were effectively denied the ability to read my campaign tweets and my slogans and
Nice to
see
meet
my
you.
material and my speeches because of how they've interfered with social media in that capacity. So they've officially stepped beyond the bounds of a private company.
Thank you. I
into the
appreciate
public
that.
sphere in terms of how
have
they
your own
dictate
poster?
platforms.
You brought a poster?
Now, if you look at the private side of it, is extremely limited. You know, it's a few companies and small individuals, but the majority of people that use Twitter use it to follow their elected officials. They use it to follow their police department, their city council. It's an integral part of the Twitter experience, where 80% of the people.
What do you think about Al-Walid bin Talal of Saudi Arabia having major holdings in Twitter?
Oh man, he's had a rough couple years. You know, the head of his, Mohammed bin Salman, the head of his country, abducted him for 3 months in a hotel and basically stole all of his money, held him hostage. So you're one of the richest billionaires in your country, and your crown prince, holds you hostage in a Hilton hotel in Saudi Arabia and won't let you go. But he actually holds 50% of Twitter now, according to some estimates. He holds 50% of the stock of Twitter, and he's officially owned by the same people that murdered Jamal Khashoggi. So they own him, and he owns Twitter.
Well, they own more stock. So this is what I said in my statement too. Like when I handcuffed myself to Twitter, is that Twitter is essentially enforcing Sharia law, and that's a reason why I was banned from Twitter as well. And you laugh at that, but it is true. And if you look at the ownership, most people in this country are really not educated as to what Sharia law is, which is why. One of the reporters who interviewed me was so dumb.
Not a thing that's gonna happen here.
No, it is though. We do.
I don't worry about Martians either.
You should worry about Sharia law because it is happening in America.
You've got Congress.
You have Sharia law in America right
so
now.
So what if she wants to? You know what? I find it
holding
ridiculous.
that law over
Who
the
gives a
Constitution?
shit
You
what
have Sharia
ridiculous
law in
book you put your
America.
hand
It's not
on? I don't
ridiculous.
care.
You have Muslim patrols in New York City now. You live here in New York City?
What's that?
You lived in Boston, you said.
That's got nothing to. I'm just saying. I don't care what book she puts her hand on.
Sharia law.
Right, it's
over
greater than that though.
the
You have
Constitution.
places, you have Minnesota, which is she
Yeah,
presides over the 5th Congressional District in Minnesota. I spent a lot of time investigating in Minnesota. You have a very large Somali population in Minnesota, okay?
That's
there
why
are
she got
many
elected. I get it,
cases
yeah.
There are many cases where the Sharia law is being implemented. You
How?
have a little town called Little Mogadishu, which is now completely overrun by the
Which is not
Somali
the name of
community.
anything in America, but
They call it Little Mogadishu.
Okay, yeah, right.
You've been to Chinatown,
And
right?
so you've been to Chinatown, yes.
It's a good point.
So they
It's
have
not
Little
insurance.
Mogadishu,
Well played.
Chinatown, and there are communities where they have fully Islamic schools where little girls from the age of 3 and older are wearing hijabs. There's female genital mutilation being performed on
Where is
little
that
girls
happening?
in
Because if you-
Minnesota and Michigan. There was a case. There was just a case in Michigan that was widespread, and I believe that. If I'm not mistaken, it's going to the Supreme Court because they ruled that it was unconstitutional in Michigan to tell a family that they couldn't perform FGM, because now a lot of these communities are being, infiltrated by a lot of Islamic immigrants and refugees who are coming, and they're having a lot of children.
First of all, you
and they're
can't be
displacing.
infiltrated by refugees if they're here legally.
What is the definition of a refugee, though? We are being infiltrated because it's a complete bastardization of what the term refugee means. It's a complete bastardization. To be a refugee by definition, right? If you're
But
a
if
refugee,
they are refugees by definition. They
but
got
they're not
let into the
refugees
country
by
the
definition.
government, right?
Because if you're a refugee, the definition of a
So you want
refugee
certain
is
kinds of
individual.
refugees, but not others.
You're not even letting me talk. Every time I try to say
You're right,
something,
you're
you
I'm
keep
sorry,
on interrupting.
I'm sorry.
The definition of a refugee, right, and you look at the situation with Ilhan Omar in Minnesota, is somebody who seeks asylum or seeks refuge in the closest neighboring country or region, geographically speaking. Okay, if you look at a map, is the United States of America the closest place
That's
to
an actual-
Somalia?
where
Is the
that
place
definition
is
come
that
from,
the
though?
closest?
No,
is
I
that
didn't- I missed
that's how refugee is defined? The refugee in a political sense.
Defined
If
by
you
who?
seek refuge,
By the Constitution.
I don't think the word refugee
No.
is in the Constitution.
The word refugee is not specifically used in the Constitution.
this is
but in
understood.
the
This is
Freedom of
understood in
Movement
global
Clause,
politics.
which
So
is
you
in
have
the
refugee
Constitution.
camps, right?
It
Because
effectively
people,
defines what it
the
means to be a
refugee
migrant
camps
or
are
a
often on
refugee.
bordering
So if you read
countries
the
or
Constitution,
bordering nations. But
refugee-
so
Yeah, but
Laura,
when was the
I'm-
last time that
Where's the
as far-
actual definition of the
when
word
I looked
refugee?
at, I'm describing it in a political sense.
when you look at a map, is Somalia next to the United States?
No,
right?
obviously it isn't.
So then extending on the definition of refugee, when you are a refugee...
But I haven't stipulated that that's the definition of refugee, though. Like,
I'm trying to explain how you're being duped into
your
thinking these
premise is
people are
wrong, I
It's
think.
not wrong. If you are a refugee, right? What is your situation if you are a refugee? You're claiming what? I'm asking you a question. What are you
You're
claiming?
looking for asylum.
Why are you looking for asylum?
For political persecution, for
So essentially, to
threat of
hold
violence.
on a sec. So if you're a refugee, right? You're saying that your country is so unsafe that you can't return because you're scared that you're gonna like lose your life or you may die, right? So then, by that definition, anybody who becomes a refugee or anybody who's asking for asylum and is a refugee by definition would probably never want to return to their country of origin if it really is that dangerous that they'd be killed, correct?
Yeah, unless
right. So why is it?
change,
Why is it that so many members of the Somali refugee community in Minnesota are going back on vacation and living throughout? They're spending the winters living in
you're
Somalia.
That. I don't know that that's
then look
true.
look at the facts. You are not a refugee if you are going back and vacationing in Somalia. If you have 3 other wives in Somalia,
yeah,
there's
I would
an
agree with that. Except that I don't know that that's the case.
This is the case, and this is the problem. This is the problem in this country: is that the mainstream media isn't reporting these things, and so when I say these things on Twitter, I get banned because I'm called a racist or a bigot or an Islamophobe. I get banned for posting things like this, but this is the reality. This is what's happening in America. Did you know that Ilhan Omar's district in Minnesota? Did you know that Ilhan Omar's district in Minnesota is now the terrorist recruitment capital in this country?
I didn't know that, and I don't know who said that. You're saying that, right?
It was reported by the mainstream media. Actually, did their job and reported it. Right, we're going to have to fact check it, but we are though because you're one of those people, which I understand. It's good to ask questions.
Those people.
I'm
the only liberal who came out here to actually
That's
talk.
Great.
Right?
But you're one of those. I'm not saying those people in a disparaging way. I'm saying you're one of those people that wants to see all the evidence, which is great. So I'm going to show you so that you can see this. I'm sorry.
Because I said the Y chromosome to me.
Censorship is not okay, Twitter.
I heard you until she's
here. I'm going to show you
because
you want to see everything, and I respect that.
I was banned on Twitter, so
Ilhan Omar district.
Conversation about transgender or any issues in general. If we don't have all the opinions that are being out on the
Daily Caller reported it.
Right. So Tucker Carlson's rag.
Well, other publications did as well. I can't. You can look this up later, and I can show you more. But Ilhan Omar's Minnesota congressional district is the terror recruiting capital of the U.S. Okay, so if you're,
but that's a headline on Daily Caller. I mean,
you can look it up. If you don't like the Daily Caller, this was also reported by left-leaning publications.
Okay.
So FBI statistics reveal that Minnesota's 5th congressional district, represented by Ilhan Omar, and includes urban areas of Minneapolis, which are now commonly referred to by people in Minnesota as Little Mogadishu and Little Somalia, has the highest rate of terrorist recruitment in the United States.
How do you define terrorist recruitment, though?
Well, you can read the article and see, but more men and boys from a Somali American community in Minnesota have joined or attempted to join a foreign terrorist organization over the last 12 years than any other jurisdiction in this country. Why is this so weird? This is so bizarre.
By foreign governments what to do, like China. What's the deal?
I don't know why that's doing that. Hold on, let me go back.
Trying to monopolize your time.
I'm glad that you're asking these questions because if someone just started telling me these things, I'm glad that you want to see the statistics and the information. But the problem is why is the mainstream media not talking about this? Why is it that people
I'm here
like
because
myself?
I agree with you.
Right, but why is it that Twitter is banning me because I'm saying stuff? I said that Ilhan Omar was pro-Sharia and anti-Jewish. Okay. Ilhan Omar
you don't have to sell me on this.
is
You're
now,
actually preaching to the
but
choir
listen
right
to this. Ilhan Omar is now the representative, okay, of the district in the United States of America that has the largest terrorist recruitment rate. She wrote a letter to a judge advocating for a lesser sentence for 3 men who were accused of joining ISIS overseas. So why am I getting banned for talking about these things that are very concerning? If I was living in Minnesota and I was not a very political person, I would still like to know whether or not my congresswoman, my representative, was advocating for ISIS
she's not
terrorists.
Your representative. This is what drives me crazy. Why can't we mind our
She's
own
still a
goddamn
congresswoman
business?
in America.
Look,
she's on the Foreign
she doesn't
Affairs
represent
Committee.
you.
She does represent me because she's on the Foreign Affairs Committee.
Let
and
Minnesota
she's making,
be Minnesota,
she's making,
and you're from Arizona. Be Arizona.
No, she's.
I don't go down to Texas and tell them to put a shirt on at the
Then why do we have committees? Why do we have committees? Why do we have committees in Congress? Why do we have committees in Congress?
As a federal elect, you represent the entire country.
I don't know why we can't just Just let Minnesota be Minnesota and
Why-
let Texas be Texas.
is-
and Massachusetts be
why-
Massachusetts.
why is she on the Foreign
That
Affairs
sounds
Committee?
great. We should break back into 50 states.
They don't
Well,
like
to break
that.
back
Each
in-
They don't like
representative
facts.
represents what,
Let them show me
700,000
facts.
people? Let
Show
those
them facts.
700,000 people decide if they want
On the
Ilhan
national-
Omar
on
to
a
represent them.
national
I mean, I
level.
wouldn't vote for it, but
They don't
I don't
have
know.
Right, but that's my point. You just told me. You just told me that we're not being infiltrated.
Every American.
Let me finish this point. This comes full circle. You just said, let's mind our own business. Well, how are we supposed to mind our own business when you said we're not being infiltrated? I showed you how we're being infiltrated. These people are having kids. Their kids are then becoming of age to vote, and then they're replacing the population in Minnesota to the point now where you have entire blocks, entire neighborhoods, communities full of Somalis.
That's like saying my grandmother came here to infiltrate.
All right,
I mean,
well,
that's bullshit. Like,
You
we're not
can say it's
replacing
bullshit, but I
anybody.
showed you the statistics and I showed you the
This
ramifications.
is America. You don't have. We're not replacing anybody. people come here
Then
legally.
how did Minnesota, which was once full of Anglo individuals, which is known as one of a quaint American state, how did it become a hotbed of ISIS terrorism full of Somali individuals if we are not being infiltrated?
Involved in
If we
ISIS
are not
in
being
Minnesota. That's just.
I
you're
just showed
talking
you
out
the
of your ass now.
statistics. She wrote a letter. Ilhan Omar wrote a letter to a judge asking the judge.
For lenience. Yeah, I get it.
Right,
I
so
get it.
those are your 3 people. There you go. There are many people in
You
Minnesota.
think that 3 people constitute some sort of
There,
invasion?
according to FBI statistics,
infiltration.
according to the FBI statistics, ISIS is now present in all 50 states. And if you talk about this on social media, you can be banned because the
I'll try it. We'll see what happens.
social media companies are heavily influenced by Islamic individuals like
Oh,
Prince
I shouldn't
Al-Walid
say
bin
shit.
Talal. And so if you
Who's a
talk
shit
about
person?
these things, especially concerning Islam, you'll get banned on social media. And these are matters that affect national security. And how scary is it? How scary is it that now in America, these social media companies get to decide, social media companies like Twitter and Facebook get to decide whether or not you get pertinent information about national security issues in your country. If your congresswoman is a Sharia advocate and is advocating for ISIS terrorists, don't you think you ought to know about it without having that information silenced and banned on social media? Who is Jack Dorsey protecting? Who are the social media companies protecting when they ban people for reporting facts about Islamic Jihad and Sharia in America? Who are they protecting? Islamic terrorists, that's who they're protecting. And so when I handcuffed myself, many people mocked me and they said that it was ridiculous that I was talking about Sharia law when I handcuffed myself and I was talking about how these companies are upholding Sharia by banning people. Did you know that Twitter is now sending, this one is losing battery, I think. Let me use the louder one. Here.
I don't know that volume is a problem.
Did you know that Twitter is now sending notifications to people on social media informing them that they're in violation of Pakistani law? Well, what is Pakistani law? Pakistani law is Islamic law. Islamic law is Sharia law. So why is it that American journalists who are writing about stories regarding counterterrorism or anti-Semitism or any story that accurately reports on Islamic terror around the world, why are they receiving notifications from an American social media company telling them you may want to obtain legal counsel because you are in violation of Pakistani law? I mean, this is really egregious what is happening here in America. And I cannot believe that an American social media company, Twitter, I can't believe that Jack Dorsey, who claimed that Twitter is a human right, where's that poster of Jack Dorsey? Right here. Here we go. We have his own words. Sorry. Here's a poster. Jack Dorsey once said, he said, Twitter stands for freedom of expression. Twitter stands for speaking truth to power. Okay, well, you don't have freedom of expression in places like Pakistan, all right? Sharia law doesn't allow for people to have freedom of expression. You can't speak truth to power in these Islamic societies. So why is it that Twitter is sending out notices to people that they're in violation of Islamic or Pakistani law if they truly do believe that social media is a human right and that it's a platform for free speech and that, Twitter stands for freedom of expression? If you truly are in favor of freedom of expression, you're not going to be citing journalists for violations of Islamic law. Again, can somebody please come outside from Twitter and tell me why Twitter is sending notifications to people telling them that they're in violation of Pakistani law? I would really like an answer. I would really like to know why the Pakistanis who commit human rights violations against women and hold anti-American sentiments, why they are dictating what I can and can't say on social media. Can somebody please let me know? Because Jack Dorsey doesn't seem to want to answer these questions. You know, Joe Rogan did a very softball interview. How many of you saw the Joe Rogan interview with Jack Dorsey on social media? I mean, he let Jack Dorsey get away with murder. He barely asked him any questions of significance. He didn't hold him accountable. He asked him why Alex Jones was banned, and he said, oh, I don't know. You're the CEO of Twitter, and you don't know why one of the most high-profile individuals who was banned on your platform was banned? I mean, come on, get out of here.
Well, when
Get out of here.
Steve Crowder came on, and
right.
What's that young lady's name? The creator of Flexit. He completely Candace.
Yeah, he's critical, but that's because I believe I believe that Twitter is a sponsor of Joe Rogan and his podcast, right? So maybe Joe Rogan is allowing the money to control his dialogue, but Joe Rogan claims that he cares about free speech and he claims to care about social media censorship. I sent Joe Rogan a very nice email and asked him to have me on the program so that I could talk about social media censorship and all this deplatforming and stuff that's happening to people like me and Alex Jones. But he didn't reply. He didn't reply to my email. He wouldn't reply, but he allowed for Jack Dorsey to lie. He allowed for Jack Dorsey to get away with lying about censoring and shadow banning and deplatforming individuals. And these are the questions that I would like to see Joe Rogan ask Jack Dorsey. Why are you telling American journalists that they are in violation of Pakistani law? How come Prince Al-Walid bin Talal owns more Twitter stocks than you?
And was a child sex traffic ring?
How come pedophiles are allowed on social media but Alex Jones isn't? How come Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood are allowed on Twitter but Laura Loomer isn't? Maybe when Joe Rogan has Jack Dorsey back on the podcast, he can ask those questions. Or maybe, if he doesn't have the balls to do it, he can invite me on the podcast while Jack Dorsey is being interviewed, and I'll do it. Because these are questions that need to be asked. These are questions that Twitter needs to provide answers to, okay? I would like to know, why is it that advocates of Sharia and Islamic terrorism and pedophiles and people calling for the assassination of the president are allowed to have Twitter, but conservatives aren't? When are we going to get an actual honest answer? It doesn't seem like we ever will. And this is why it's so important for our representatives as well to have more social media hearings, because who went to the social media hearings? I did. I confronted Jack Dorsey. I disrupted the hearing. Did you know that those hearings were held on the same day as the Kavanaugh hearings? Did you know that? And did you know that the mainstream media gave all the attention to the Kavanaugh hearings and barely any to the social media hearings? But even worse, did you know that the Republicans overseeing the Kavanaugh hearing, do you know what they said when the protesters interrupted the Kavanaugh hearing? Do you know what they said, the Republicans? They said, oh, well, these people have a constitutional right. They have a right. This is their free speech to protest. Do you know what happened when I protested and I confronted Jack Dorsey for committing perjury at the social media hearing when he lied to Congress and said that he wasn't censoring people? Do you want to know what happened? Do you want to know what the Republicans did, what Representative Billy Long did to me? He tried to auction me off. He tried to drown my voice out. So why is it that the liberals are getting free speech, but a conservative doesn't? Do these silly Republican representatives not seem to understand that if conservatives, that their constituents get banned and silenced on social media, how are we supposed to vote for them? How are we supposed to get our information? How are they supposed to get their points across? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Jared Beck's banned on Twitter. DNC for a lawsuit. Why won't you come out and talk?
Right. Jack Dorsey, you told Rolling Stone magazine that you think I'm so punk and that you respect me and that you think I'm so brave. You said, quote, I love activists, I love protests, I listen to punk music. I'm all about, confronting people and holding them accountable. So where are you, Jack? Come outside, Jack, and talk. Give us some answers. Give us some answers, Jack. You said you love protesters, but where the hell are you? Where are you, Jack? Where are you, Jack Dorsey?
Come out, Jack.
Twitter stands for freedom of expression? Bullshit, Jack. Bullshit. Come outside and answer some real questions for once.
God damn it. It's all right.
Jack Dorsey is here in New York. He's not in San Francisco.
Jack Dorsey goes between San Francisco and New York, but we're here in New York because New York City is the media capital of the world. And I would really expect for members of the mainstream media to be out here today reporting on this, given the fact that Twitter is now censoring the President of the United States of America. Did you know that Donald Trump, a few days ago, posted a tweet, he posted a meme of a video. It was created by a friend of mine. His account is on Twitter, Carpe Duncan. He's a great meme creator. He made this meme, and it was a compilation of the Democrats' faces with a song. And it was funny because Donald Trump was saying, "We're not going to be socialists. You know, I'm combating human traffickers. I'm securing the border. I'm doing all these great things." And the Democrats were just shaking their head, and they were so sad, and they were so depressed. And it's because they truly do hate America. Donald Trump posted this video on social media, and Twitter deleted it. Twitter is now censoring the President of the United States of America. And this is what I said. This is what I said when I disrupted the congressional hearing. I warned everybody. I said that the Democrats are colluding with the social media companies, and that people like Jack Dorsey and Mark Zuckerberg were silencing and deplatforming and shadow banning and censoring conservatives because they want to sway the election. They want to control the elections in this country. And that's why they're doing what they're doing. And now, this video, which was absolutely hilarious, they're banning it because it really does expose the Democrats as the haters that they are, as the anti-American haters that they are. And Jack Dorsey deleted it twice. Twice Twitter deleted this video. Why does Twitter think that it's acceptable to censor the President of the United States of America? Don't forget, you guys, don't forget. I believe it was last year, there was a Twitter employee who deleted President Trump's Twitter account for 11 minutes. They said they lied. Jack Dorsey lied because he's a liar. That's what he does. He loves lying. He committed perjury. He lied to Joe Rogan. He lies about everything, that Jack Dorsey, but he doesn't have the balls to come out here and answer questions. He just doesn't. Twitter deleted President Trump's account, and then it caused, some controversy, and they made it sound like it was an accident or that it didn't, it wasn't intentional. But then I believe that the employee ended up being fired. So if you don't think that this is out of control, well, I'm here to tell you that it is out of control. Twitter now thinks Jack Dorsey and his Islamic overlords, the Saudi prince, Al-Walid bin Talal, who owns more Twitter stock than him, who happens to hate President Trump, they think that they can just delete the accounts of the President of the United States. They think that they could just shadow ban and censor his supporters because they don't like the fact that we voted for Trump. They don't like the fact that we're conservative. And where's the mainstream media? Where's the mainstream media to speak out about this censorship of the President of the United States? We are living in a time where Twitter and Facebook and these social media companies serve as a digital public forum. It's a digital square where people gather and they report on news and they go to get their information. They get information from the President of the United States. So how are we supposed to trust that we're going to be able to get information from the President of the United States when the fake news media, which truly is the enemy of the people, when the fake news media not only is distorting the truth and lying about everything that President Trump says, but now they're covering up for the fact that social media is deleting what President Trump wants us to see and wants us to hear. Who's to say that President Trump isn't going to get banned on Twitter? When is President Trump going to get banned on Twitter permanently? They already removed his account. Jack the other day was doing this interview with some woman named Cara, and you could look at the thread on social media. He was doing this thread, it was like Cara Jack, and this lady said, So when are you maybe going to delete President Trump's account? Have you ever thought about banning the presidents of the United States? There are people out there that are really pushing for this, you guys. They're really pushing for the president of the United States to be permanently banned on Twitter. And so think about what's going to happen to the everyday citizen who doesn't have a voice, the everyday American. If they're thinking about silencing the president of the United States, just imagine how bad it's going to get for everyday Americans like me and you. It's going to get really bad. And I think it's shameful that the mainstream media isn't here talking about this. You know, did you know, the police officers are here, and God bless them because it's so cold outside and they're here, protecting everybody. Did you know that there's a case right now out of Texas? There's a guy who is suing the social media companies because, do you remember there was a shooting in Texas in which a guy went on a rampage and killed a bunch of police officers, if you recall this story? He killed a bunch of police officers. And, every day in America, innocent police officers are being killed, and it's so tragic. Well, this guy was radicalized by individuals on social media who expressed support for Palestinian terrorist organizations and the Black Lives Matter movement. Okay? So this lawsuit now is saying that these social media companies have some form of liability because their platforms are being used to radicalize individuals who are killing police officers. Did you know, and I talked about this with the officers last time I was banned on Twitter, did you know that here in New York City, I believe like a year or two ago, there were 2 police officers who were shot in their car? Did you know the reason why they got shot? Well, it's not surprising that they got shot because 2 days prior to that, Twitter allowed for Kill the Police to trend on Twitter. Twitter allowed for Kill the Police to trend on Twitter, and 2 days later, 2 police officers were shot to death in their cop cars here in New York City. And their families are never going to see them again because these disgusting tech terrorists and tyrants, people like Jack Dorsey and Mark Zuckerberg, are allowing for these abuses to take place on their platforms while banning conservatives like me and silencing Trump supporters. Apparently, it's more of a crime to say that a Muslim congresswoman is anti-Jewish than it is to say kill the police, fuck the police, put pigs in a blanket, kill the president, kill Trump, all this stuff that they allow on social media. It's really toxic, and people have actually been killed because of it. Really innocent police officers, and it's a tragedy because, these are good people whose family members are never going to see them again because these social media platforms are allowing for actual terrorists and dangerous individuals who are inciting violence and hatred against officers, against Jews, against conservatives, against our president, to have a platform while they ban patriotic conservatives simply because of who they voted for. Where's Adriana? Here. Take over for now. I need some water.
Owen wants to talk to
Does anybody else want to say anything?
I'd like to say something real quick. Can I take a picture with you?
Yeah, of course.
I've never been to a protest in my
What's
life.
your name again?
This is my first time ever being to a protest.
I do, right? What's your, is it Global Poppy? I think I met you and your girlfriend,
The 11th Brigade Air Defense Artillery.
remember when the Breitbart party, you barely had anything, and you were
I'm
telling me that you were
representing the
interested in
Patriot
starting
Voting
something, now you have this
Coalition.
massive
We're a group
account.
of actively serving
Yeah.
military
You
members,
got a lot of following,
actively
I think. I think
serving
it's good.
police force members, actively. Sorry. And we are also disabled veterans. I've had 3 accounts deleted off my
I'm all right. How are you?
I have had 3 accounts deleted by Twitter.
Oh my God.
Nothing.
It is so
Nothing
cold
at all.
outside.
I think I made fun of fucking Kathy Griffin's hair. She said it looked like she had a 6-year-old cutting it. You can't make me stop talking now, though.
Get the water
I
off
come
my
here
mouth.
before you
It's
today
gross.
as one man, but I represent millions of Americans. When I tell
Do I
you
have
we
water
will
on my
never
face?
give in to your socialistic ideologies, we will never give in to the false song of globalism. I stand here before you today as an ambassador to the knowledge of what your future holds. If you continue to choose to push us, the ones that fought for this country,
Well, it's really affected
the
me
men
because, as
and
you know,
women
as a
who
journalist,
serve
in order to
you,
communicate in this day and age,
you do
everything
nothing
revolves
but
around
cast
social media.
aside.
And so the way that we communicate
I stand
has
here
been
to tell you
accelerated greatly
and
by
ask you,
social media.
are you
So
willing to
in the
die
time
for
that it takes a
socialism?
news agency to
Because there's
produce
a
news
million of us
package,
that are
the story
willing to
can
die
only
for the
be
United
viral on
States
social media with
Constitution.
one tweet. Well,
That's all I have to say.
Through my Twitter account, I had 265,000 followers. I would live stream a lot of my videos, and now I can't do that. I was independent. I didn't work for a publication, and that's how I was able to survive as an independent journalist. Not only that, but with my 265,000 followers, I was able to fund my journalism by putting out my PayPal link and my payment platforms. I was using GoFundMe and Venmo, and I also got banned on PayPal and Venmo and GoFundMe. And so not only did it decrease the amount of revenue I was able to bring in to fund my independent journalism when I lost my Twitter, but then they decided to come after me financially. So now I'm banned all across the board. I am having a very difficult time. Financially, it's hard. I've been thrown into credit card debt to pay for my investigations because they're trying to make it impossible for conservatives to participate in commerce in this country simply because they're conservative. And I don't understand why I'm being treated like a terrorist in my own country simply because I voted for President Trump. I do not have extreme views whatsoever. In fact, many Americans agree with my views, and I wouldn't say that I'm an extremist at all. However, people like Louis Farrakhan, Linda Sarsour, David Duke, CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, they all have Twitter, and they all probably have access to PayPal. In fact, PayPal had agreed to match $7 million in donations to the Council on American Islamic Relations, which is a designated Islamic terrorist organization in UAE. How are they more entitled to having a PayPal account than myself, a Jewish conservative journalist who, advocates for President Trump and exposes stories and topics that the mainstream media doesn't want to talk about?
Now, did they ever give you a reason as to why you were banned?
Yeah, so Twitter told me that I was permanently banned for hate speech because I said that Ilhan Omar was anti-Jewish. So for many people, now they're learning about Ilhan Omar. She's been in the news a lot lately. I was actually on the ground in Minnesota 7 months ago reporting this, warning people before she was even elected. Hey guys, we have a jihadist running for office. Hey guys, we have an anti-Jewish woman running for office who's tied to terrorist organizations. Like, wake up. Can someone please do something about this? I was ignored by the RNC. I was ignored by the GOP. The mainstream media ignored me as well. And now everybody wants to act like it's a big surprise that we have, a Jew hater in Congress who's advocating for ISIS and holding fundraisers with CARE. I told everybody this information. I confronted her 7 months ago about marrying her brother. And apparently saying these things on Twitter is now hate speech. Posting facts is hate speech. So my tweet said that Ilhan Omar was anti-Jewish, and that is why I was banned, believe it or not. So I'm waiting on Nancy Pelosi to also be banned on Twitter because she tweeted out her letter in which she said that Ilhan Omar was an anti-Semite and needed to apologize for her anti-Semitic comments. So when is Nancy going to get banned for saying the same thing I said?
Now, what are you hoping to get out of this protest today? What is your goal?
Well, you're here. Other members of the media have shown up. I'm hoping that we can raise awareness about social media bias. I hope that I can stimulate people's minds. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of traffic. And so while the protest itself, I would have hoped for it to be much larger. You never know what people are going to hear, things that they may not know. And we're talking about all these terrorist organizations that have access. You may have someone that goes home and they think to themselves, this is really interesting. I'm going to start looking this up, and then people research. But ultimately, I really hope that something is done on a political level. I would love for President Donald Trump to speak out about social media bias and the deplatforming and dehumanization of his supporters, because I find it egregious that people like myself and many others like Alex Jones, Gavin McGinnis, Milo Yiannopoulos, Roger Stone are having our lives destroyed simply because of our politics. I'm banned. These are all the places I'm banned. I'm banned on Uber. I'm banned on Lyft. I'm banned on PayPal, Venmo, GoFundMe, Medium, which is a blogging site. I'm banned on Twitter. I've been temporarily banned on Facebook. Temporarily, when I was reporting on the U.S. Embassy move and covering the embassy move in Jerusalem, Instagram temporarily suspended my account. And yesterday, I had my access suspended to my online Chase banking account. So for people who think that this just is taking place on Twitter, and they're like, oh, get over it, Laura, it's just social media, you'll survive without Twitter. Well, are you going to say the same thing when Chase Bank decides to close your online banking? I kid you not, I was in a cab in New York City yesterday, and I tried to pay for my cab, and all my cards were declined. And Chase cut off my debit card, and then when I went to the bank, they wouldn't give me access to my online banking system. And there's a screenshot. The Gateway Pundit reported on it. I called Chase. They wouldn't fix the issue. I went into the branch. It literally said access suspended when I tried to log into my online banking. And all I wanted to do was pay a credit card bill. I wasn't even trying to put money into my account. I just wanted to pay a credit card bill, and I couldn't even pay a credit card bill. So now my credit is probably going to get messed up because I'm probably going to be late for a credit card payment because Chase won't let me into my online banking.
That's really shocking. There's a big discussion on whether Twitter and Facebook and online social media platforms are really publishers or platforms.
Yeah.
And whether they deserve the amount of freedom that they get when it comes to banning and publishing. What's your position on it? What do you think Congress should do on it?
Well, I think that Congress really needs to crack down. I think that Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey should just both be prosecuted for committing perjury because they did commit perjury. And if you recall, I disrupted the congressional hearing when Jack Dorsey was testifying because he was asked if he censors and silences conservatives and distorts algorithms, and he said no. And I used to work for Project Veritas. I was an undercover journalist at Project Veritas for about 3 years, and they did an investigation in which they show Twitter employees on camera admitting that they do censor and shadow ban conservatives. So for him to lie like that and none of the Republican representatives to do anything, and to try to auction me off, Representative Billy Long, who's a Republican, shockingly, tried to auction me off when I called Dorsey out in Congress. So I would love to see them speak out and do more and really challenge Twitter on this topic of whether or not they even deserve to be classified as a platform because they're getting away with committing human rights violations. This is no longer just a topic about free speech. This is a human rights violation. When you have individuals having their bank accounts shut down, when you have, I have friends who have received notifications from Chase Bank this week telling them they can no longer bank with Chase. It's not just me. This is happening to a lot of other people whose voices maybe aren't as large as mine, or people who aren't as well known, and nothing's being done about it. Where is President Trump? Where is President Trump to speak out about these violations against his supporters? How does President Trump expect to win in 2020 if all of his supporters are going to be banned on social media? How do the Republicans expect to win their elections? I would really love to have this discussion with them because I don't even think a lot of them really know what's going on. And it's because, quite frankly, they don't use social media. They have people who they pay to do social media for them. Trump knows all about Twitter, right? But most of these representatives have a social media team. They don't really know what's going on, but they really need to start learning about it because I think that it's really scary that a company can just decide, Jamie Dimon can just decide, you know what, screw these Trump supporters, I'm just going to cut their bank account off. That's really scary.
Now, you're a very large advocate for Israel. Do you think that your position as a Jewish American Republican was influential on you being banned, considering there are so many openly anti-Semitic people still on Twitter?
I do believe that these platforms are very anti-Jewish. It's pretty obvious when Twitter refuses to ban Louis Farrakhan and they don't punish Ilhan Omar for her anti-Semitic tweets, but they ban me for saying that Ilhan is anti-Jewish, right? I was banned. And there are a lot of other prominent Jewish conservatives who have been silenced as well. Pamela Geller is one of them. Robert Spencer as well. There are many people in the Jewish community who are on the right who have been silenced. And where's the ADL, right? The ADL is such a sham organization. The ADL raised $50 million last year, and their job is to combat anti-Semitism and to raise awareness about hatred against Jews. But they have been almost silent about Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib. They're not speaking out about this. Where's the ADL coming and standing in solidarity with me today to say Twitter is wrong for allowing #KillAllJews to trend while banning Laura Loomer for calling Ilhan Omar anti-Jewish? And I can't believe that I'm saying this. I can't believe that we're at a point where #KillAllJews is trending on social media and people are calling me a Nazi. I mean, if anyone is a Nazi, it's Jack Dorsey, right? If you're going to allow for Kill All Jews to trend on Twitter. But I'm the Nazi because I voted for Donald Trump. It's insanity. It really
Laura,
is.
thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for interviewing me. And for those of you who are watching, make sure if you do tweet this, because I can't tweet, make sure you use #StopTheBias, #48Dark as well, and tweet it to President Donald Trump. Start emailing Fox News, which doesn't seem to really be interested in covering this topic of social media censorship. Start reaching out to the mainstream media and tell them, that you are not going to watch their channels anymore unless they start to talk about this. OAN seems to be talking about it, so maybe people should just watch OAN instead.
Thank you, Laura.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Sorry about that.
No problem.
love the way in. You guys do a great job.
It is, isn't it?
Thanks for coming out. We truly appreciate it.
In San Diego.
Where is Steven? Oh, hey, Steven.
You didn't know the Verge is
making a rhetoric
Oh, let me get his.
actual Americans who want
Where?
to put
Sorry, where are
truth
you
out.
guys going to be putting this? Just on OAN?
So it's on Verizon, Fios,
Okay.
DirecTV.
You know, like,
Yes, how are you?
It's
Good.
on,
it'll be like,
it's
you know,
on Cloud, the app Cloud.
Let me give you my number. It's too cold for me to text,
yeah,
but I'll
yeah.
give you it myself, and then you can just
I'll
text it
send
to me. Send me a text.
So we are on DirecTV. We are on DirecTV.
520.
One.
I had to turn down Laura's mic so she doesn't broadcast her phone number to everyone. But, well, it's freezing cold out here today, and we are letting everybody know that Twitter is displaying really unbelievable bias, allowing hatred to be spewed by individuals, but yet shutting down Laura.
That's good to talk about on camera if you want, really quick, because these are all tweets that have been reported, but Twitter refused to take them down and said they weren't violations of terms of service. But I got banned for saying Ilhan's anti-Jewish. So you're allowed to say, "Can someone shoot Donald Trump? I want to kill Trump. Like, let's assassinate Donald Trump." And then here's a bunch of like, fuck white. These are all verified users. These are verified people who are allowed to post things like, "I hate white people."
Can I have a copy of all that?
Yeah. And this is on my website too.
Okay.
I can give you the paste bin, but people need to talk about it.
Thank you.
This one, "I'll kill Donald Trump." This is not a violation of Twitter's terms of service. Can you believe it? But I'm a Nazi. I'm a Nazi.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Make sure you send me a text though, okay? Your first name one more time?
Ryan.
Ryan, okay.
Donald Trump is our president. It is okay because Donald Trump is a fascist. Donald Trump is a bigot. No, he's not. He's a never socialist. He is a good.
This is great.
He is a
You know, guys,
good
the protests may not have a ton of people, but we're getting media coverage from everyone. It's really cold. Here, you want a hand warmer?
I don't understand.
It's really cold, but you know, we're getting a lot of traction. People are going to talk about this. People are going to tweet about it. And who knows, maybe Trump will see it. But, you know, as I proved when I handcuffed myself to Twitter, it only takes one person to make a difference. And we're out here today, and there's not a lot of people, but there's enough, and our voices are going to be heard. We have media here that is covering it, and I'm hoping that more people are informed about this and that we're able to, you know, have an honest discussion about social media bias. So, how many people are watching?
I'm not able to tell from this right now, but probably several hundred, and it'll be seen by thousands. Laura, it's pretty shocking some of the tweets that they allow while banning you.
Why does Louis Farrakhan still have
Can someone please shoot Donald Trump?
on Twitter?
Are you okay, Steven?
Are Jews termites?
Are you okay?
Are they?
Are you freezing?
Yeah,
Is a
just like,
whole
huh?
Are you just really cold?
termite like
I just want to make sure you guys are okay. Where's Claudia? Oh, right there.
Just lost that glove, so.
Okay. Oh, you. Oh. Here. Hand warmer.
Oh, nice.
Just hold that. Ask them for hand warmers. They have them.
Dope.
Maybe someone can go to CVS and buy you like a.
Yeah, I tried to.
You need gloves, man.
Yeah.
There was nothing. This should. I can hold.
We need
this
to get a glove. Does anyone have an extra glove or? His hand is.
It's
We
fine.
need to go
Don't
get
worry
you
about
one,
it,
maybe.
guys.
Oh, he's
If
changing
there
up
is an extra
lenses.
glove laying
Look at
around,
this guy.
I'd love it.
So,
So Laura, have you had any direct communication
right?
with Jack Dorsey or anybody at
yeah,
Twitter?
so, you know, I've tried to schedule a meeting with Jack Dorsey. I've tried to talk to Jack Dorsey, but Jack Dorsey just doesn't want to talk to me. He just wants to talk about me. So Jack Dorsey did an interview with Rolling Stone magazine, and they were like, oh, speaking of messy, like conservative provocateur Laura Loomer handcuffed herself to Twitter while you were in Myanmar pretending to, you know, live so humbly. Because, you know, Jack Dorsey, of course, lives in like a $20 million house, but then he wants to pretend like he's down with camping and, you know, living in a third world country. So, I don't know, just more hypocrisy there. And Jack Dorsey said, yeah, well, I love protests. I love activists. I'm a punk. It's so punk. Laura Loomer is so punk. I used to listen to punk music, and I respect her for speaking up about what matters. And we talked about this on your show, Jason. We talked about this. And it's so funny to me because here we are protesting at Jack Dorsey's office. He said, I love protests. Well, where the hell are you, Jack Dorsey? Where are you today? Where are you as we protest and ask you why it's a bannable offense to say Ilhan Omar is anti-Jewish, but it's not. These are all tweets that have been reported, by the way, that Twitter has said is not a violation of their terms of service. Can someone please shoot Donald Trump? I will kill Donald Trump.
What about the doxing of that 15-year-old kid from Covington County?
Yes, that's fucked up, right? This is disgusting. You can say, what was it? Like, Donald Trump's kid should be thrown in a cage, and he's a liberal. This guy isn't even on our side, and here he is saying it's disgusting that Twitter allows for it.
Fair about it, you know?
Right. Look, I want to stab Trump in the fucking throat. So somebody reported this tweet, and Twitter said that this was not a violation of their terms of service. I will kill Donald, stupid, ugly ass before the summer's over. Well, okay, so what people need to understand is that calling for the assassination of the President of the United States is actually a felony here. So these people are all committing felonies, and they should immediately have their accounts banned and be paid a visit by the United States Secret Service, but they're not. And Jack Dorsey is allowing this to take place while banning people like myself and Alex Jones because we post facts. Can you believe it?
So were you serious about having a Mueller tattoo?
Yeah, I am serious, but you can find it on, I was on
Robert
InfoWars.
Mueller
Yeah, I took my
tattooed to
shirt
your
off on InfoWars. And,
So you're okay with treason?
You're aware that Robert Mueller covered up the crimes of 9/11.
That's bullshit. What are you going to say? You're going to talk about what? Whitey
We're
Bulger?
talking
Or
about the 28 pages of the Senate Intelligence Committee report that
On 9/11?
implicated 3 Saudi diplomats
I want to
for
get,
financing.
you guys, I want to get some
Right,
really
you're
good
putting
pictures
that
of
on
everybody
Bob
too,
Mueller.
so.
He was the director of the FBI.
With their signs.
Right. So you're putting the report that didn't
Aren't
come
they
from the
supposed to
FBI
investigate
on the
it?
director of the
They're from
FBI?
Senate
Has the
Intelligence
Right, which has
Committee.
nothing to fucking do with the FBI, right?
I don't think that's correct.
Mueller directly from
awesome.
WikiLeaks. Directly from WikiLeaks.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Bob Mueller took uranium samples on an FBI
Hey, you guys,
jet
go
and he
over here.
delivered
I
them
wanna
to
get pictures
Moscow.
of all of
This
you
is
guys.
facts. It's on WikiLeaks website. It cannot be disputed.
Just show it to me, because I haven't seen it. I want to see
Smile, guys.
He failed to investigate a huge amount of financial crimes by the Clinton Foundation. Do you know that the Clinton Foundation has never been legally authorized to do anything other than open and maintain a presidential library
Yeah, how did
in
that-
Arkansas?
Andrea
He was
Ocasio
director of the
Cortez
FBI.
get
They're
more
supposed to
likes and retweets than
investigate
Donald
so
Trump.
federal
Come on.
crimes.
So any
Ridiculous.
federal crimes that happened during his watch are on him? Is that the case you're making?
The
Here, go over
biggest
there. I wanna get
ones,
pictures
yes.
of
He's
everybody
the
with the
FBI
signs.
Okay,
director.
so all right, first of all, I don't know that the Clinton Foundation is involved in anything because I don't know anything about the Clinton
It
Foundation.
has
I don't think
only
it's
received
right?
legal authorization to be a 501c3 tax-exempt
Yeah, get that word.
organization.
Which shouldn't exist in the first
to,
place, right?
Well, it should, because it's there to open and maintain a presidential library in Arkansas.
No, I mean,
Everything else
501c3
it's ever
shouldn't exist in
done,
the first place, right?
let's stay on topic. Everything else it's done is in violation of that. And Robert Mueller should have investigated. I can't even begin to remember the number of things that he's failed to investigate. He's been involved in criminal leaks to the press of grand jury information about this investigation. FOIA lawsuit
How do you know
from
about
Freedom Watch. You got to go to Crowdsource the Truth
Freedom
and look
Watch?
up some of this stuff
Okay.
before you start tattooing treasonous
Look, first of
criminals
all-
on your back.
First of all, it's my back. I'll do whatever I want with
Okay.
it. No, but in all seriousness, it's a joke. It was to bust Rogers' balls. It was a gas. It was funny. That's what it was.
You're free to tattoo whatever you want, but I think you need to do some more research. Are you a reporter? What do you got that there?
I want a picture.
Yeah.
Can someone take it?
I've got a YouTube channel. It's not.
What's your
I'm not
YouTube channel? Tell everybody.
Brad Chadford.
Jason? Oh.
It's
Brad?
the Brad Chadford Show.
Will you take
Okay.
a picture for me?
Thanks,
Well, I
Brad.
want you in the
No
picture
problem.
too. Well, we'll find someone to take a picture. Hey, see,
What's
we
up,
can just
bro?
hold this and take it.
We don't want him in the
Is it possible?
number is 602-502-5612. Call me, pussy.
Can you take a picture of me with everyone here? Just put this like in here for now, or just.
All right, hang on. Not that
Hey, my
many.
friend.
3 hands. Here we go.
Hold on, you guys. We're gonna
Got it?
give me a stop the
Sorry.
bias sign or something.
Okay, ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Just try to get the Twitter bird in there too, so you can see we're here.
Yep. Okay, I got the Twitter bird. There we go.
Jack Dorsey's a liar!
Very good. All right, here you go, Laura.
Thanks.
Well, listen, it's freezing cold out here.
Yeah, you got a lot. I mean, you know, we got the gist of it. So if your hands are cold too, I mean,
Yeah.
my feet are cold, and we were out here till 1 o'clock. But you know, if you have to go, that's okay. And
Well, if anything crazy happens, you
I
send me
will.
a text.
I
I'm
will.
just a few
Yeah.
blocks away. I got a couple of other shows to prepare for today, and my batteries are running low. So I'll go charge up, and if something happens, if
Yeah.
Jack Dorsey comes out, send me a text, and I'll be back.
I will.
I want to thank everybody for watching. Laura, how can people financially support you now that
So-
Chase Bank has shut off your account and all this other
yeah,
stuff?
they've only shut my online banking down, so I don't think I'm permanently banned. But I'm going to remove my money out of Chase because I just don't want to take any risks with all the rest of it. Because I can't even access my online money right now.
That's crazy. Everybody should take their money out of Chase.
You can go to my website, lauraloomer.us, and you can donate at loomer.rev, REVV.co, or go to my website on the Give section and send a check to my P.O. box. But you're so cold, I feel so bad. You're shaking.
It's okay. All right, Laura. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
I'll see everybody later today. Thanks for coming out to Laura's
Yeah, thank
Twitter
you.
protest.